Hello everybody and welcome. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cover your own button without any additional tools. To do this, you'll need a plastic self-cover button. I have a brand called Prim, however they can be really difficult to find in Australia. I would also suggest that if you're going to use the pack of buttons for all different fabrics, then definitely buy white buttons rather than black, as the white can be a lot more versatile. From what I can gather, all plastic self-cover buttons which don't require tools are sewn the same way. The brand hemline was definitely the most accessible by far and what I would recommend purchasing. First of all, you're going to want to remove the back of the button, which can be a bit of a fiddle. Once you get it off, do not put it back on until the fabric is in place. Like safety teddy bear eyes, you will never get the back off again without breaking it. You're then going to find the traceable circle on the back of your card, which will be on all brands you buy. The size will depend on the type of button you've chosen, and it definitely makes it easier if you trace a paper copy to cut your fabric out with rather than using the cardboard. Then cut out a piece of fabric for your button. I always cut out extra in case I have difficulties with the first try. You also don't need to follow any grain line because the piece is perfectly circular. Then cut around your pattern, making sure you remove the pin so that you don't damage your scissors. Take a needle with a double thread on it. If you have a more open weave or heavy material, make sure it's knotted multiple times at the end. This is important because when you pull the gathering around the button, you put in a lot of pressure on that knot. As you can see, mine pulled through rather than gathering the first time I tried. This meant I had to add even more knots to it, but it did work in the end. Use a running stitch around the perimeter of your fabric. This stitch simply goes up and down through your fabric. Allow around 3 mm on the edge to reduce the chance of it fraying and coming undone. Don't try to sew too much all at once. 3 or 4 stitches at a time is plenty. Pull through to start the next lot. The stitching doesn't need to be perfect, but the more consistent it is, the more even the button will be and the easier the gathering's going to be. It doesn't matter whether you stitch on the wrong or right side of the fabric, because you can just push the middle of the fabric to pop the right side to the outside. You then place the button face side down onto the wrong side of the fabric. Then pinch the top and bottom of the button while pulling the stitching thread tighter around the button. Then drop the button and pinch either side of it while still pulling the thread tighter. Rotate it around and do it again to really make sure it's tight enough to stay. Pinch the bulk and push down into the button to make it easier to place the back onto it. Place the back of the button on, making sure that the teeth are facing downward and that you catch all of the loose threads within it. If you have bulky fabric or 2 layers of fabric, then you can go back and pull out any loose threads without being too rough. You can push the back on with your hands, however it helps so much if you have something solid to put it down. You want to make sure it's something that has a C shape so it can go either side of the shank. If you use something filled in, it will damage the shank and you won't be able to sew it on. Press the back onto the button until you see the shank pop out. Then twist the button around and repeat just to make sure it's on. To check, just pull the thread slightly to see if the back pops off or not. Clip off the excess threads and then you're done. To really make sure that the back is on as tight as it possibly can be, check that you can fit your needle through the shank. If not, that means that you haven't put the back on tight enough. Don't forget to download your free notes from my blog at the link below. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.